And Phey is an award-winning Asian leadership speaker, Amazon #1 best-selling author, and leadership coach with 30 years of C-suite experience across strategy, sales, marketing, learning, and as chief of staff. She has led in global organizations such as IBM and MTV Asia, and in high-growth startups, earning over 50 awards for strategic impact, innovation, and leadership excellence. Today, she serves organizations through her company, Leadership Coaching School, named Best Executive Coaching Company in Asia Pacific, where she leads a team of coaches delivering leadership transformation programs across industries, and is the creator of the LeadByDesign and Career Accelerator frameworks used by organizations to strengthen leadership capability, build succession pipelines, and embed her high-performance culture. Her programs are known for blending strategic clarity with behavioral transformation, turning managers into leaders, leaders into influencers, and senior talent into enterprise thinking change makers. Companies engage Anne because she delivers measurable growth in leadership confidence, communication impact, and organizational effectiveness. Anne will be speaking on LeadByDesign, the untapped power of authentic Asian leadership. So everybody, please welcome Anne Phey.
Thank you so much, Grant, for the introduction. Well, I'm really happy to be here to be sharing about the influence on leadership, right? Thank you for that notice. Okay, so as a leader in the corporate, I've noticed that there's lots of leadership programs, but yet we are in a time where it's crazy times now because since COVID, we've got lowering employee engagement, we've got AI coming on, we've got the geopolitical situations, we've got so much things that's happening in our region. And that is why over the last few years that I've been working with leaders, we need a different kind of leadership now, not something that we've used to employ from before. And what I've noticed is I teach at the universities, and a lot of leaders are getting back into the school to learn their MBAs to know how to cope. The other thing that leaders are doing is they're developing into T-shaped professionals. As you know, besides having the depth of their particular capabilities, they're also looking at broadening their skills, how leaders can then form strategies, manage change, and learn about other functions so that they can grow and groom the organization. But what we have is some interesting results. Maybe you could also type into the chat of what you're observing that is different now for leadership in this era versus just before COVID. Let's hear what you have to say. What is different in leadership now? One of it is a pipeline issue. Yeah. The other one is 74% of our workforce will be millennials and Gen Z by 2030. Perhaps Singapore, we have a little bit more of an aging population, but for the rest of Southeast Asia and Asia and the rest of the world, it's going to be ruled by the younger ones. And there's this trifecta needs, which is they need money, but they also need mental wellness, and they also want to find their purpose. And if they don't find this, they're likely to develop somewhere else. Now we hear about portfolio career, and we're starting to see there are leadership pipeline issues, whether it's willingness or capabilities. And what we're seeing that in the evolution is also context, not control, and peer partnership. So the top-down approach doesn't work. Even the 1970s servant leadership, that's kind of old now. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about what else is happening in the workforce. There is a human-centered change management they need to deploy, because in the employee engagement survey, 7 in 10 workers are quiet quitting, and there's a huge increasing churn rate of 7% in our employees. Now we need greater leadership transparency, communications, and how are we going to work with this hybrid work environment where people are becoming more distant? How do we build this corporate culture that we can team together and still drive high performance? And with AI coming on, there's lots of change. How do we lead and manage these changes? So here's where I introduce the heart, mind, and spirit methodology. So there's in the corner, you can see there's a huge chart, but for today, we're just going to focus on three. The mind is not just about knowledge and skills, but about the mindset shift. And in the area of the heart, how do we share our narratives instead of being in our own little bubble? And we've always heard, your workplace is not your family, not your home, so don't share your darkest secrets. But perhaps that is time for it to change too. Spirit, how do we connect visions? Sometimes the company vision is so lofty, but the person on the ground doesn't understand it. But with millennials and Gen Z, this has to be understood and incorporated. Otherwise, it would be lost. So one of the key areas is how do we craft your unique leadership identity? We have so often been receiving the Western kind of leadership, and it's a translation. What we need is a transformation. And for leaders to lead, they need to discover their personal potential, style, and identity. Every single leader has got their fingerprint, which is unique to you. And once you discover that, you realize how you can best leverage your own capabilities to lead that change. So we look into why we do the things we do. How do we connect leadership to our narrative so that people understand us? And how do we inspire as leaders? Because people don't follow because of your job title or their personal promotion. They want to find that purpose. And are you someone that they want to follow? And how do you then create your own pathway as a leader versus falling into job promotions because you did well and by chance somebody else gave you another opportunity? So that by chance becomes a well-designed pathway. And when we work with leaders like that, we're seeing 50% reduction in conflicts, 40% increase in project completion because they know what they're doing and they go all for it versus taking on projects they don't full-heartedly want to get engaged in and they drop out. And 50% increase in leadership effectiveness because your team wants to work with you. It's not about, oh, I have this project I need to finish, but hey, I would love to be involved because I'm going to achieve this and what benefit it's going to bring. So really creating this unique opportunity. And with that, we've got a series of workshops and topics that you could build together for your organizations. For our L&D friends out there, you can focus on personal leadership, where we do self-awareness and working on your individual leader's narrative and developing their philosophy and style. We could also look at team, where how do we manage the delegation, the pipeline of leadership? How do you manage feed forward so that we can grow without being critical and feedback can land gently? And how do you manage conflicts in the team? And we can also work on strategic communication and executives, the storytelling, executive presence, and how do you manage interviews and press? And I've done a lot of this with both government and public listed companies where the leader's presence needs to be felt by the public. And we also talk about how we communicate, whether we could build coaching as a culture, as a mindset shift, incorporating cultural intelligence. And this is the part of Asian leadership because we haven't really looked at the Asian values that much in most of our companies. The Asian values like harmony, conflict avoidance, seeking consensus, and humility. Some of these sometimes they're flip sides of a coin, but how could we bring this forward? And not just Asian values, being in a multicultural and global marketplace. How do we harness that for leaders who are now coming into Asia? We're talking about intergeneral leadership, intergeneration, because many companies are now into the second, third. I've even worked with companies with fourth or fifth generation, where there is a different way of working because the forefathers had built the company. And there are certain ways you need to navigate the family politics and conflicts and how do you grow it? And how do you then use coaching as a method? And last but not least is change and crisis management. Well, there are certainly a lot of crises, especially with PDPA, data, cybersecurity that could fall into any of your company. And as a leader, are you already equipped to know how to manage this? And with AI coming in, how are you rotating, reorganizing your work processes, embracing digitalization and transformation? How do you manage part of that as a change? And crisis communications, where your media is banging on your door for an answer. Yeah. So the second part is, besides working on the leaders, we also have a program where we build high performance team. So if you're looking at building a high performance team, we often go by the head, which is matrix. This is what we need to achieve. These are the targets. But often the issues are with the heart. People related issues, motivation, lack of vision, conflicts within the team. So we found that just by doing a course or a program is not going to work. So we've deliberately created this process over minimally 6 weeks, but best over 12 weeks, where I'm sure you've heard that little small changes will create consistency, build a habit, and make a huge change. So every week we will work with the members just 1 hour a week, and you will create this collective accountability and help the team to gel together. It's not about team building, but this is really working through the issues that you're facing, whether it's at the company-wide or at a personal level. I've had directors who refuse to talk to each other, hug themselves after the end of the session and realize why they go to business together. We've had team members who couldn't get along and finally realized why someone was behaving that way, and they embraced that person, and the behavior from that person has changed. And the results, 3x performance. So sales is 300%, and we also see at least minimally a 25% increase in employee engagement matrix. And this is how it works. The 12 weeks, we will analyze what is the issue, we'll get a collective buy-in, and we look at behavioral benchmark. So if you want to shift something, you need to come down to a behavioral benchmark, like what am I doing to add value to the team? It's as simple as I can ask someone out for lunch. It's as simple as I can buy a coffee, or I will spend 10 minutes listening to you. Very small behavioral tweaks that they volunteer and do. And across that, we create a peer reward and recognition system presenting best practices, and we get stories shared. And this is where the team bonds, and we start to grow individually as a team, and how we get the leaders to step up into sharing as a chairperson. So with that engagement, we've really created, plus a personalized one-on-one coaching, a full process where we can see distinct shifts and transformations in the team. And the third part is leader as a coach. So when you want to improve the management, how do you improve the communications? So tuning the way that we talk, yeah, to less talking, less top-down, more collaborative, more peer. In fact, collaborative learning from your peers and the newer ones who will join the company. People less experienced, but they may have a point of view. So creating that open mindset and cross-cultural openness, and the way that we listen, the curiosity, the empathy. So we use an International Coaching Federation certified curriculum to bring this coaching culture. And we work with many companies to train their leaders by phases. So it's a very fun program where you get to learn to coach, and you coach one another. And you get free coaching because you're practicing on one another. And in these areas, we've seen 30% increase in leadership effectiveness. Teams, one of the big fours, managed to get their projects out earlier and with less conflict. So this really, truly works. So out of these three, perhaps I could invite the audience to type in which one of these truly resonates with you, that this is an issue that you think you will need. You know, better communications, team performance, conflicts, working with Gen Z. Maybe you could type in and can see where is this landing. Yeah. And in the program, the learning experience will work with assessments. We can, so depending on your needs, we can customize this into interactive workshops, peer exercises, individual reflections, and all that. Great, thank you for that feedback. Working with Gen Zs, how to vibe with them. Yes, they do definitely have a different language. We don't always have to learn all their lingo, but definitely having an open door and working with them on their vision and their purpose. And as a leader, we need to morph as well. So it's not about us having to adapt, but really as leadership, they are the ones who ask why. But in the older generation, we used to just do. So it's just a different way of thinking because they've seen our failures and they want to shortcut that failure. They want to succeed and be higher in the probability of success. Yeah. So as part of the program, we will be doing pre and post engagements, crafting and measuring assessments so that you can really measure your return on investments in these trainings. Yeah. And I see coaching effectiveness. Yes, yes. So well, there's a time for mentorship and coaching, but I think as a coaching culture, I've seen leaders who come in and like top-down delivery, and after the coaching training, they suddenly people start to come to them and want to work with them. It's almost that they open up this valve that says, "Hey, I'm here for you, and I show you my heart," and they become 100 times more effective as a leader. People don't fear them. People are willing to talk to them and to confide in them, and that's what you need. You need that level of trust and safety. The psychological safety in the team is what's going to make the team move into the future changes, and we're going to be heading in for a lot of changes, right? Supply chain transparency, mergers, lots of mergers and acquisitions happening, global expansion. So you need these leadership development to get through there. Yeah. And so as I mentioned, these are definitely customizable. So as you can see some of the pictures here, I've delivered it in small team workshops, like less than 10. We've got like mid-market size companies where we do 16 to 30, and we can also do enterprise way, either a cascading model from top management, middle management, and so on, or by country. So you can see that these are all workable depending on the objectives and the challenges that you are facing. Yeah. We've able to do both in person as well as online with my team of trainers and coaches. So why us? These are some of the clients that we worked with. I also write for CEO Magazine and Forbes. And these clients that we worked with, they're across different industries: education, technology, finance, startups, fintech, yeah, entertainment line, and so on. And here are some testimonials from some of my clients. And some of the work is confidential, but some of my clients have been very sweet to share. I think the style of leadership coaching school is we're very nurturing, but we're also challenging in the sense that we're very precise to figure out what is the challenge that the company faces and what is needed to best meet it. Yeah. And we're also very creative and thought-provoking. So if you want someone to challenge your leadership in a very gentle, safe, psychological way, but yet to get them to think about, hey, I can't be the same anymore. I need to change. And what do I need to shift? That's when you look for us. And also for team memberships, where you know that your training, team bonding is not working out and people are leaving, there's conflicts, that's where we come in and clear up the dirt and get the teams to shake hands and hug each other again. Yeah, it's a difficult work, but it's something that is truly fulfilling because it crosses the divide of training and coaching to really make the real shift in companies. So here are the proven results. This is one very honest client, started out as a skeptic. Can you really make the team hug and work together? But he became a believer because employees are human and we can solve like the how do you say, the hardest business problem, but the people ones are the tricky ones. So how do they change and build the team morale again? So you can see the results: 14% engaged to 63% engaged. I've got lots of other these cases. And they grow stronger, better leaders. They become more results oriented, and there's better collaboration. Yeah. So if you'd like to find out more, here's QR code that you can scan. So in there, just indicate your interest. So because you've joined today's SG60 forum, I'm included a free consultation and some free assessments for you. So there's a leadership assessment, there's a high performance team assessment, employee engagement survey. So if your company doesn't already run it, I can run it for you for free. And also Leader as a coach will offer a coaching sample. Yeah. And the framework that we're using, I'm finally putting it into the book. So I'm really happy to share that if you indicate your interest, we'll give you the promo price when it launches at $1 USD. So thank you for spending your time. Open for questions. If you have any further questions, I'm happy to answer them. And today, I know that all of us who are here, we have our heart for leadership. So it's time to equip ourselves to bring out our authentic, unique leadership style. And thank you for everyone's attention.